The sewing pattern launch playbook. From hand-drawn draft to a sellable PDF download, craft creators are sitting on a goldmine of patterns. Here's how to turn one sketch into a polished, multi-size PDF your followers will actually buy. Every sewist who's drafted a bodice block for herself has had a follower ask, "Where did you get that pattern?" That question is the whole business model. A sewing pattern is one of the highest margin digital products that exists, because the hard part, the actual draft, is already done. What's left is packaging, grading across a real size range, laying it out so it prints and tapes together cleanly, and photographing construction steps clearly enough that a stranger can finish the garment alone. Nail those three things, and one PDF sells for years with zero inventory. Get them wrong. One size only, wrong print scale, instructions that assume knowledge you never wrote down. And you'll spend more time answering refund requests than you spent designing. This is the playbook for doing it right the first time, from cutting table sketch to a listing that converts. Start with the draft you already trust, not a new one. The pattern most likely to sell is one you've already made and worn, not a design you draft cold for the launch. If you've sewn a garment 3 times and adjusted fit each round, that third version is your master pattern, tested against a real body, with known trouble spots already fixed. Resist improving it right before launch with a feature you haven't sewn yet. Every untested seam or closure added between your last muslin and your first sale is a fit problem a customer discovers instead of you. If several drafts are sitting in your sketchbook, pick the simplest construction for release 1. A clean, well-graded, basic outsells an ambitious design with untested variations, because it's the one you can actually finish testing before launch. Grading. The step that decides your ceiling. Grading, scaling your master pattern across a size range, is the single biggest lever on what a pattern can earn, because it controls how many people can actually wear the result. A pattern graded only in your own size is a tutorial for one body, not a product. You don't need the full spectrum on day 1, but a realistic minimum is 5-6 sizes clustered around a common range, expanded once demand is validated. If you're not confident grading by hand, use an established grading rulebook or plugin built for home sewing patterns rather than eyeballing increments. Inconsistent grading is the fastest way to end up with a run where the medium fits fine and the large is mysteriously short in the torso. The finished measurement rule. Never list a size chart without finished garment measurements next to it. Size M fits bust 36 to 38, tells a buyer nothing about the actual ease, 2 inches or 6. Finished measurements are the single most requested missing detail in pattern reviews, and adding them up front eliminates a whole category of pre-purchase questions. Layered PDFs. The delivery detail that separates hobby files from a real product. A flat PDF, where every size prints on top of each other, is the fastest route to a refund request. A properly layered file lets the buyer open it in a free PDF reader, toggle size layers on and off, and print only what they need. Plus a separate toggle between A4 letter-tiled printing home printer and a single-sheet A0 layout copy shop plotter. Building layers takes real time in software like Adobe Illustrator or Affinity Designer. But it's the difference between a pattern that reads as professional and one that reads as a first attempt, regardless of how good the draft is. If you can't build them yourself yet, outsourcing to a pattern grading freelancer for release 1 is a one-time cost against a file you'll sell indefinitely. Layered pattern file. Toggle sizes on-off. Toggle A4. Letter tiled versus A0 copy shop layout. A layer key page explaining exactly how to turn on the size they need. A test square or ruler mark on page 1, so buyers can confirm their printer scaled correctly. Seam allowance clearly marked as included or excluded in the same spot every time. Fabric requirements chart by size, yardage, plus notions like zippers or elastic width. A finished measurement chart alongside the body measurement size chart, step-by-step instructions with photos, not just line drawings for every tricky construction step, a visible version number or date, so you can push a corrected file without confusing repeat buyers. Instructional photos, where patterns actually earn, or lose, their reputation. Line art diagrams are fine for showing where a dart goes, but they fall apart at the moment sewists actually get stuck. Which side is right sides together on patterned fabric? How a facing folds under before pressing? Which way a zipper tape faces before basting? Real photos of real fabric, shot from the angle the sewist sees at their own machine. Resolve those moments in a way no vector illustration can. You don't need a studio. A phone on a tripod, one lamp, and a contrasting cutting mat is enough. As long as every photo is sharp, and the right side of the fabric is visually distinct from the wrong. Use a print or marked muslin so orientation is never ambiguous. Photograph every step where a piece could plausibly get flipped the wrong way. That handful of images cuts support messages more than anything else you can do. Nobody emails you asking for help on the steps you photographed clearly. They only email about the one step you assumed was obvious. Pricing and packaging your first pattern. A well-graded, well-photographed multi-size pattern is not a $4 product. That price signals a rushed file before anyone's opened it. Indie pattern sellers commonly price single garment patterns in the $12–22 range, with complex multi-piece designs, coats, structured outerwear, landing higher. Treat that as a benchmark rather than undercutting on day one. Real revenue compounds in bundling. A core wardrobe set of 3–4 patterns, a seasonal set, or a bonus add-on, a kid's size, an alternate sleeve, stacked onto an existing pattern instead of drafted from scratch. Because your storefront prices products independently, you can test a bundle discount without ever discounting the individual patterns. The standalone price stays the anchor. The bundle is the upsell. Getting the file into buyers' hands without becoming a fulfillment job. The unglamorous truth about selling patterns is that most of the business isn't drafting, it's delivery and not losing track of who bought what. A store.fan storefront exists for this part. Upload the PDF once, connect Stripe or a PayPal email so Apple Pay and Google Pay work automatically, and every purchase triggers an instant download link on screen and by email. No manually attaching files to emails all week. Custom checkout fields let you collect a preferred size at sale time. And your customer list keeps a record of every buyer so you can broadcast when you release a corrected file, a bundle, or a seasonal pattern. None of that requires a dedicated build. It's what happens the moment you create your store and list your first PDF. If you want to see how a real creator storefront handles multiple digital products and bundles, a live example store is worth studying. Notice how descriptions front-load exactly what's included, the same instinct that makes a pattern listing convert. Before finalizing pricing, check pricing. The 0% platform fee on paid plans matters more once you're selling bundles at volume than on your very first sale. Key takeaways. Grade at least a 3–5 size range before you launch. A single size pattern caps your market to people who happen to match your exact measurements. Layered PDFs, turn sizes on/off, toggle A0 versus tiled printing aren't a nice to have anymore. They're the baseline expectation for a paid pattern. Instructional photos beat illustrations for the steps sewists actually get stuck on: necklines, zippers, and any step involving right sides together. Sell finished measurements, not just body measurements, or you'll field the same fit question in your inbox forever. A pattern storefront is a compounding asset. One draft, graded once, can be relisted as a bundle, a bonus, or a seasonal refresh without redrafting anything. Start your creator store, free, at store.fan.